Minahan.
Welcome to Talk Cosmos, the show where Sue Minahan and her panel of guests bring you leading-edge astrology conversations through a journey of soul growth patterns connecting astrology's energetic cycles. Get ready to understand your path in the cosmic roots of the stars.
Hello to all of our wonderful audience members. We're so grateful and glad to connect again. And today is November 13, Talk Cosmos Kaleidoscope Visions. This is the last for this year. Next year will be every fourth Sunday. So connect. We love to interact. And today's topic is finding our real deal. It's an internal process. Ultimately, we have two large retrogrades with Jupiter and Mars, and also the eclipse season. It doesn't end. It's a vibrational energy that connects, especially with perhaps our individual chart, the charts that with people we connect with, or then collectively, whether it's our nation or the world. And as we all know, we're becoming a river with many tributaries going into it as we're changing in this life always. So one of the great how can I say it? Kaleidoscope Visions will talk about these transits, and then we'll bring on a wonderful guest who is prearranged. And there is that opportunity for anybody. Just go to Talk Cosmos and you can sign up. And we'll connect with what month. And we'll talk with her. She's right here, and apply these transits, bringing it home, bringing the stars to Earth. Okay, we are now ready for Kaleidoscope Visions.
Learning about current transits and exploring soul growth cosmic conscious energies applied to natal transit chart readings provided from the audience. This is your Kaleidoscope Visions panel.
I'm Sue Minahan, the founder of Talk Cosmos, an eclectic evolutionary astrologer, consultant, certified color energy life coach, vice president of the Washington State Astrological Association, member of Kepler Astrology Toastmaster Club, of a Dwarf Planet University diploma and AA with music degree. I love mythology, philosophizing, collaboration. I'm an artist, writer, a perpetual student of life.
I'm Amanda Pierce, a soul-centered astrologer, astrological consultant, and empowerment-based meditation teacher. I have a BA in psychology, I'm a wellness enthusiast with a passion for healthy eating, and I enjoy creating new realities and shifting old paradigms.
And like the Sufi poet Rumi says, you are the entire ocean in a drop.
Yes, and I feel like I'm in the ocean a lot of times these days. There's so much activity, just in many directions. Hi, Amanda.
Hello.
Yes. Well,
I'm sorry, I'm having some feedback on my side, so I'll let you talk for a second while I figure this out.
Oh, goody. Oh, dear. Well, things do change always. So what I hadn't said in perfect entry is that our energies are regrouping, and it's imagining this path through to clear, to mandate, to imagine truth rather than deceit. And when I say deceit, it's like being truthful to oneself. And that's finding the real deal. Like, what is it that we can really get our resources and talents connected to? Because Taurus, that lunar eclipse in Taurus, it relates to finances, art, music, the creative. It's a nonverbal sign. And a whole focus on survival or self-reliance, self-sufficiency. So it's really a growth process from discerning from the collective into our own inner self. Very yin, you might say. And yet, on the other hand, we have Mars that as an action planet, and especially in Gemini, the diversity of choosing, even if it's regrouping what our choices were, we could look at multiple things. I know for myself, it seems like there's many paths that I need to continually work through. And the glory of that is that this is a long transit, 7 months in Gemini. And we're still in the retrograde, apparent retrograde moment. And when it completes on March 25th, we'll have a lot of experiences, choice or not choice, but things that we interact with. Gemini by itself is very curious and interested. And the gift of that is that it can go deep into the spiritual essence of it, yet it also it can take it at more of a quick face value to discern the value of it. It's all interconnected. I mean, the energies do connect. Well, hi,
Yeah.
are we back again?
I'm back. I got it figured out. Yes, thank you for
Yay.
that.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
indeed.
I don't know about you, but it's definitely been intense this eclipse season. And this lunar eclipse we just had was 5 days ago, so I'm sure everyone has been feeling it a bit. And it's a bit of a continuation from the solar eclipse that we had 2 weeks prior to that, where we're still doing a lot of releasing of letting go of limiting and disempowering energies at the south node, because we've got all this Scorpio energy right at the south node. And so we want to make sure that we're releasing those pieces that are disempowering that Scorpio, so that we can bring in this new balance with the moon in Taurus at the north node. So this new emotional stability we want to be able to carry forward. And to do that, there's deep stuff that's going to be coming forward for us over the next 3 to 6 months with these energies.
Wow, that's I like that. The emotional stability. And what is that grounded on? Really, truly, it's evident that, of course, it's the self. It's the inner self. And with that inner self, it's one of the issues, all goes back to, I suppose, Mars and Gemini, that life is a river constantly changing. When we lived in Mexico, my husband and I, back at the beginning of this whole century, for a while in Mazatlan, I was so thrilled to hear that in Mexico, that's a big adage. Life is a moving river. It paraphrased, however it is. And in fact, we have Michael Bartlett coming on the 27th of November. And I was checking into his website to work on a concrete subject, because I'd forgotten about that date, which was a gift. And here I'm pardon me for diversing. But the point was, on his site is the same thing. Life is a river. So right now, we're really, a lot of forces are moving.
Yeah, and I like that life is a river. And if you're looking at Mars and Gemini as life in a river, it can feel like it's maybe a little bit backed up right now. That is kind of what happens with Mars retrograde. We're forced to slow down, and that slowing down kind of gives us an opportunity to look at ways that we're trying to operate and move forward that are not serving us anymore. Because Mars just wants to go, instinctively just have at it. And when we do that, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes we're moving forward with ways that just aren't correct for us anymore. And so, but we do it so instinctively that we don't get a chance to really see it happen. So
Yes,
this gives us that opportunity.
Thank you, Amanda, because I needed to thread in that this business of our emotional stability, that really with all this changing elements, that it gives us a chance to review again another story in our life, how it works. And of course, we have Jupiter also retrograde, and it's now in that holistic, womb-centered oneness of imagination. And it can have some escapism, but you have to escape to have real imagination in a way. You have to manifest that dream. I mean, begin that seed, yes?
Yeah, yeah, and it's Jupiter in its retrograde. It started out retrograde in Aries, and that carries a lot of that same Mars energy of acting instinctively. And Jupiter loves to like jump in to things, and just trust that it's going to work out. But with it during this retrograde, we're moving from Aries back into Pisces, and so it is a really great time to kind of go with the flow and just allow the universe to show you what needs releasing. There's a lot of opportunity to connect back into the magic of the universe while it's here in Pisces, and kind of remember that feeling that we had with the Neptune Jupiter conjunction, where there's just so much possibility.
Very good. And that was back in, I'm just remembering, it was, I think, April, was it April 10th?
Oh, man.
Anyway, I had a wonderful talk with both Wendy Stacy and Israel Ahosi from England about it. So people can go back and check that particular
Pretty good
one.
memory. It was April 12th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the event was on the 10th, April 10th.
Okay.
Yeah, that was it. But you're right. So because that also leads into this energy of working with the universe. If we're going to trust ourselves and our center through all these changes, having that emotional stability, that core, that light within, it is an ability to rest our values on issues that have real alignment with truth, right? And that's a whole dimension of focus and that. But it also is learning how the universe, with Pisces, as you had said, is going to connect with us. So it's recognizing it. I think that's a big part of it. So you can carry that forward and realize, as one's struggling maybe to get an answer, it's like, oh, well, yes, I saw this through this person or this sign, or the ways that, or an insight, something that comes to mind.
and Jupiter is so much about connecting into what is authentic for you, what brings you authentic meaning in your life. And so this is a period where not only are we having to kind of physically slow down with Mars, but also it's giving us that time to evaluate where we are with our beliefs and the meaning in our life. And I think those two are working together, where having to kind of slow down in some ways in your life is forcing us to look at what our beliefs are.
And before we go to the chart for this Roshana, who is our wonderful guest for today, the lunar eclipse itself at 16 degrees exactly, most interestingly, in Taurus, almost at the midpoint, the 1 degree from the 15, which is always anyway, it has Uranus, we have to remember. So when we say the universe bringing in messages, there's sudden changes. There's going to be that unpredictable, and it's connected with Venus, I'd say, of our values. So how we're feeling about things. Maybe we should go on. And of course, there's many involvement. Did you have something you wanted to say, or else we'll go ahead?
Well, just about that Uranus piece, I mean, this can really shake us up emotionally and make us feel really ungrounded. It's intense energy to have Uranus with the moon. And especially in Taurus, where Taurus just wants the ground to stay steady. And Uranus is not going to allow that.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that can feel really intense emotionally, but there's purpose to it. And Uranus really wants us to break free from what's no longer serving us. So all of this intense Scorpio energy may be coming up to be released, in part because of this Uranus. It's all working together. And so we can kind of have breakthroughs on an emotional level with this.
I like that.
Yeah.
That idea of the purpose, intensity, the shakeup of the ground. It reminds me of a boat that What
Yeah.
kind of boat are you in? Are you in a barge? Are you in a sailboat? Maybe a raft? Here in Hawaii, we actually see some of the older boats with amazing sails from early navigation. There were so many logs. I have a picture I heard of my grandfather, who was born in that one in 1890, a long time ago, going down a river on a log. It was in Kentucky. So I'd like to anyway. Or jumping
Well,
on
and sometimes
logs, right?
you need to dock that boat so that you can make some repairs and so that you can
Oh,
do an inspection and just
oh,
really, shore it up so that things move a bit more smoothly going down the river of life. Because we all get knocked
oh,
around,
thank you.
we got to patch
Yep.
things up.
Well, here we are. We have our guest for today, and the date on that is September 24, 1968, or no, 1988, 4:17 p.m. in St. Louis, Missouri. So this individual has an Aquarius 4-degree ascendant beginning the chart. And I'm saying this partly because we have podcast people. Otherwise, I wouldn't read it off, but it would be helpful for them. And in the 8th house is the sun in Libra, 2 degrees. And the moon is, almost an opposite. Balsamic moon at balsamic means almost finishing up. Well, it's not balsamic. It's pardon me for my it's almost at a full moon. It's in Pisces, 19 degrees Pisces, right next to the north node of destiny. So emotionally, there's a lot of, and in the 2nd house, quite a connection to spiritual manifesting. I would think grounding these spiritual concepts of mysticism and maybe animals too. Pisces loves big animals. Whether you're not necessarily that you're a zookeeper, but anyway.
Yeah, I think the Pisces piece plays in big into this chart, and there's so many Jupiter 9th house Sagittarius connections in the chart that I really see this as a big piece of what she's working through. And the eclipse really highlights all of that. So
Yeah,
it's
here
like,
we have
yeah,
the
it's
bi-whale.
quite a big eclipse, or it has big meaning for this chart. The first thing that really I'm drawn to is the fact that she's got Pluto in the 9th house. And Pluto in the 9th, this can be, it's all about kind of working through any soul issues around beliefs, what belief structure you were raised in, and or belief system you were raised in, having like a belief system imposed on you potentially. With Pluto, it's oftentimes where Pluto is that the darker elements come forward in the context. So having like being disempowered in a belief system, having starting to become cynical about a certain belief system that you were raised in, or just it feeling very foreign to you. And so there's just this soul journey to kind of find that correct placement.
That's one of the true values of this. Well, in our own chart, which is a replication of energy in that search, because our charts always reflect another viewpoint from another prism, you might say. So her Jupiter of belief structures and our higher learning, all these archetypal uses of Jupiter is in Gemini, and it it won't be affected directly by, I mean, it's 2 degrees shy of Jupiter retrograding back to 8 degrees, but it's close. And in her natal chart, Jupiter in astrological language squares the nodes, meaning it's intention, meaning that she's lived. I just listened to Laura Nalbandian of NORWAC give a speech at the Washington State Astrological Club. And it's all about, in fact, you can buy that video if you want from Saturday. And it was all about the past lives that we're working in this life between the past life and the future life. If we look in evolutionary astrology, which you and I do, is that we have this lifetime to balance those imperfections of purpose or of experience, right? So the fact
Yeah,
that you brought that up is really valuable, that she also has that
right.
transformational energy now.
Yeah, there's multiple levels to this. So with Jupiter square the nodes, this means that there's a little bit of a hitch in the free flowing energy um, moving from the north node out through the south node. So becomes like a big focus in the lifetime to kind of work through that Jupiter and Gemini energy. And
Yeah.
Jupiter is the teacher. And it's like, it's again goes back to that belief system. And in Gemini, I'm wondering if there is a piece around stepping
Mm.
into that teacher role and stepping into ways to communicate the wisdom and knowledge that she has, because Pluto in the ninth house, that's a very powerful teacher.
It is. It's that, and I want to get back. We'll focus on the eclipse and the transiting Mars and Jupiter in a moment, because I recognize we need, as you've reminded me of before, tie these in. But it is in the 4th house of personal self. So it really is necessary for the teachings to, I would be happy to talk with her after that half break so that we can find out, because once she gets this new information to rebuild her philosophy of belief structure, there's writing potential too, or perhaps, as you say, being like the
Writing or any type of communication. There's so many communication platforms out there. Like just doing this Talk Cosmos, this is a very Gemini type
yeah.
exercise, right? Just even the spoken word. So there's lots of potential, but it is about voicing it in some way and kind of bringing that non-linear, intuitive knowledge and wisdom that Sag has, that Pluto in the ninth has, into a form that can be communicated to others.
And looking at the eclipse at 16 degrees Taurus, because it was a lunar eclipse, of course, the sun is at the opposite, which is in Scorpio, but it does accentuate or activate her natal Venus which happens to be in Leo, which all gets back to values of self. It's like a final integration of her real values. And a lot of it's through other people. It's in that area of the 7th house, meaning that she could counsel people, but also at this stage, if it's internalizing through like this talk, as you aptly said, we're other people, talking, and she's gaining values or just through her own discernment. It's not taking on people's ideas, but to discover it. So it's really a growth period for that. And along with the
Yeah.
idea that, of course, at the opposite, also that energizing is the moon. It is a moon, so it's very emotional. It's going to be something that
Yeah.
is
Well, and one
grounded.
thing we forgot to mention about this eclipse is that Saturn is squaring the nodes, it's squaring the moon, and it's squaring the sun in this eclipse chart. And so that's playing in to the eclipse for everybody. And it kind of it's like looking at like where do we need to give up control so that we can release more, because with all of the fixed signs, it like you get stuck and you kind of like hold on to it. So where can we give up that control a little bit, stop controlling the emotions so that they can be released, and so that we can really step into greater true control, true agency in our life.
And I often find that in order to give up control, it's a matter of deconditioning from past belief structures. So it all is very relevant. And this happens to be that energy of Saturn that crystallizes, because when it's a cardinal, well, it's in a fixed sign of Aquarius right now. So it wants the collective and how can I relate into the collective, into a group of like-minded people. Yet one can also feel in the same sense alienated from that group. So it's Aquarius has that dichotomy that makes it somewhat of a balancing beam. But it is looking at what do I need to decondition that might be that obstacle. You're right. That isn't appropriate. It's not the right story. Let's change the story.
Yeah. Yeah. Finding your own path, finding your own way. And that Saturn that is in the eclipse is directly opposing her natal Venus, which is kind of why I wanted to bring that in at this moment. So it's going back to those values and kind of what can be released from it, what do you need to double down on and get more disciplined on, and kind of
makes it a grand square. Yeah.
Step into greater leadership on your own behalf. That's the Saturn piece as well.
And a grand square for people is none of this is scary. It's all possible, because squares, like a river, they come in, they want to find a resolution. A river isn't going to just stay in one spot. It's going to move. It's going to do other things. And so it's how to manage that and to understand that is the process. It's a process. Well, thank you, Amanda. This has been great. I look forward to connecting with this soul, and that will be after our break. This is November 13 with Kaleidoscope Vision, a panel with Amanda Pierce and myself, Sue Minahan, as we're talking about the eclipse we're navigating and the retrograde sphere of life, regrouping these energies. We can do it. Okay, see you back. While we take a break from this week's edition of Talk Cosmos, let's take a look at this cycle's archetype. We are currently in the yin period of Scorpio, traditionally ruled by Mars, now ruled by Pluto. By departing a cycle based on comparison between extreme energies finding balance, Scorpio commits a relationship to exchange resources, experiencing power and powerlessness for the purpose of soul growth transformation. As a fixed water sign that is extreme, intense, and secretively deep, Scorpio's passionate nature questions the psychology and mystery concerning life and death.
This is Martha Norwalk. Every Sunday morning, beginning at 9 a.m., thanks in part to the Ananda Institute of Living Yoga, we cover the world of animals. This week, November 20th, it's Behavior Training and Healing Sunday with me, and talk with your human or animal loved ones on this side or the other. And
Talk Cosmos brings you leading-edge astrological conversations with hour-long programs each week on KKNW. The show goes live every Sunday from 1 to 2 p.m. Pacific. Talk Cosmos weekly programs are also available to watch live on Facebook and YouTube, along with daily chats throughout the week on the Talk Cosmos YouTube channel. While you're there, make sure you click like and subscribe buttons so you can get the full Talk Cosmos experience. Or, if you'd rather listen to the show archives with audio only, the entire podcast collection since 2018 is available on most podcast carriers. So, grab your coffee, tea, or kombucha and enjoy the show.
Talk Cosmos is celebrating its 6th season and has a special gift for everyone listening to the show, a free mini transit reading from your natal chart. This reading can help you discover your life path forward and make you aware of current opportunities and challenges. Talk Cosmos Kaleidoscope Visions panel invites you to participate in this learning experience and to interact with the astrologers reading your chart in 2023 during the monthly Kaleidoscope Visions show. Schedule your mini transit reading and find more information about the panel at talkcosmos.com. We look forward to connecting with you for a free natal chart mini transit reading during the monthly Kaleidoscope Visions show at 1 p.m. Pacific on Talk Cosmos.
Ready to shake things up? Try Alternative Talk 1150.
Hello again. Here we are. And I think we'll have Roshanda. There she comes. Yay. Hello. Thank you so much. You know, we met at NORWAC. That seems like a long time ago. Yes.
I
Now.
know. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're open to hearing from you,
Mhm.
your feedback, and if you had questions or that. But how did you feel about any of these subjects, or else we can
Yeah, did
remind
anything
you?
ring true? Did anything feel off the mark? We're happy to
Oh
dig
yeah,
into anything.
no, you guys did a great job. I can say you were pretty on point. So I've definitely was enjoying it. So I do have a gibbous moon. I knew you were
Oh,
trying to
thank
figure
you.
it out. A gibbous moon. But yeah, you're actually right with the teacher student, the Gemini transit. That's definitely what I've been battling with. I'm more comfortable being a student than actually teaching. Um, and it's just, it's easier. It's like I can answer the questions. Now you want me to tell you the information back to someone else. So yeah, definitely on point with that. The Pluto in the ninth house, yeah, changing beliefs. I questioned a lot growing up, like some of the stuff, because I grew up going to church every Sunday. So I had questions on why we do this. Why is this? Why do we have to go? On Sundays, I didn't have to go. I was like, wait, I don't have to go? Cool, I'm staying home. you know, one of the ways that they kind of encouraged me to go was like being able to pick out my own outfit. But yeah, challenging a lot of the stuff that I grew up with because I was always interested in like Buddhism or Hinduism, and my family would just look at me like I was crazy. So
Finding meaningfulness. Exactly. I understand. It's
yeah,
like the
Well,
depths of it. It's not just the culture and the ritual. It's like,
yeah,
why? Why is this? Yep.
yeah,
exactly.
and you came, this chart says that you came in with deeper knowledge or understanding on a spiritual level. And so, to just be kind of plopped into a family that, and there's meaning to it, right?
Yeah,
That kind of did the traditional, like, we're going to go to church and not really question anything. It just wasn't going to work for you.
yeah.
Just, yeah.
Because I would just go
So,
to sleep. That's that Pisces moon. I'm bored. I'm going to bed.
dreamland is more exciting, right?
exactly.
Well, it is
Yeah.
interesting. Well, I'm thinking right now, of course, we know that Neptune has been transiting, and I
Mm,
personally it's been affecting my chart as well. Neptune is a strange transition because once it's complete, it's thankful, but it can become so uncertain. There's a lot of uncertainty,
yeah,
yeah, with
yeah,
emotions.
A lot
definitely.
of, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, and also on the values with it scoring my Venus, I've definitely felt that. Because one of those, what do I need to decondition from to help me is my spending habits. I like to
Mm,
spend money on things that I like. I like Thai
Mm-hmm.
food. so I might eat Thai food a couple of times a week. And it's like, you could just learn how to cook it because you're not a bad cook. But it's
Yeah.
the going out, the buying it, the whole experience for me.
hmm
So just deconditioning myself from that.
Yeah. And finding like what's the emotional reasoning behind it? Like usually we have like something emotional that's kind of keeping us in these patterns. And so
I,
that's something to be open to like looking at and when it comes up to releasing it.
Oh, it's my inner child. She
Well,
Yeah.
you know,
to have what she wants.
well, it is true. Thinking of Jupiter itself,
Yeah.
it's different cultures.
Yeah.
It's like the world is not, especially the Pisces moon too. It's not just what we have here in front of us in our little neighborhood. Regardless of
Exactly.
that neighborhood, is that interconnection everywhere, and food really identifies that. And besides, it's a taste. It's a whole experience. You know,
Yeah.
it's grounded. It's in the body. I understand. I do. And so, and I think that's where Amanda has an indirect way, because we share this with you. We do in our own manner. And so, in a sense, rather than looking at what the symptom is, what the result is, look at other ways to shift it, because it's true. Just buying a spice that was good. I know I did that with cumin. I love Mexican food and I wanted, so I bought cumin and I put it in my food, or cilantro, you know, which anyway,
Yeah.
just as a lot.
Yeah. I mean, ways that like with this Neptune transit going over your Pisces moon, that Pisces moon, you know, it loves to kind of be in altered states, and food will do that for you, right? I mean, it brings you back sometimes to that comforting place that you had in childhood, even just for like that short amount of time. And so finding ways that if you wanted to get rid of that habit, it's not the worst thing ever. But if you wanted to, or other Pisces habits of kind of detaching from the reality space, that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just you want to find ways that are helpful for you. So that can be being creative. I mean, a Venus in Leo can be very creative. That
Turn
can
on the
be
music and dance.
music, dancing, meditation, other type of like energy work like qigong or something. Those are ways to kind of work with that energy.
Yeah.
Kind of get you to an altered state in another way.
Yeah.
Or since we're focusing on this particular subject, and we'll move on to the eclipse and the retrogrades in a moment, but to finish up too, a thought was that I learned that, well, and I'm trying to remember how to draw it to you, but the fact is I have a lot of Gemini, and so my mind, you know, and in Mayan astrology, I'm the monkey. It can really be, and it's 13 monkey, meaning it's really a lot of it, thinking ideas and whatnot. And I hadn't realized, but because I listened to metaphysical things, and I hope I'm speaking correctly rather than things and whatnot. But the fact being that food could slow me down. And it was like, oh, because I'll go for tastes. I'll get a bitter taste, just a contrasting tastes. And I hadn't realized that what that's doing is kind of calming or grounding my mind. So it is this dynamic. And what a gift too, if we have Jupiter in Pisces right now. This is the universe coming to us to help get these messages or ideas or expand great ideas.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. Because I'm the same way with taste, like savory and sweet.
Yes.
So that balancing act, and it is a little bit of an escape because you can focus on the food versus everything else, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Although I have even miso, and I'll take like a spoonful of miso because I don't eat a lot of salt, or I have certain things I've really tried to. Oh, anyway, maybe we should.
Yeah.
What about Mars? Shall we talk about Mars in this chart?
Yeah, let's
Amanda?
talk about Mars. So with a Mars retrograde, I mean, it's so frequent that people get frustrated at not being able to move forward with their lives, because that that martial energy just wants to move forward, and it gets angry when it can't. So I'm curious if you're feeling that, if you've got any themes coming up in your life that are causing like a slowdown, or frustration.
And if I can interject with that whole focus, because in the chart very distinctly, Mars, our activation that's asking us, that's retrograde, going back to these many degrees of Gemini to get new diversities. Like for instance, you and I, we met in June or in May actually,
yeah.
and then we were going to be on a certain show, and then there was finally we landed on now, and so right now we've got Mars retrograding. We're reviewing things, okay, but it is opposing, like an opposing is like an awareness to your Saturn and natal. I mean, you have that wonderful Saturn Uranus conjunction, which is really the structure of philosophies, you could say, one idea, or because and with the oh boy, with
just to note that Saturn and Uranus are in Sagittarius. So again, we've got that Sag, Jupiter, 9th house theme here. And there's that piece about being the leader. That's the Saturn piece. And with Uranus there, it wants you to kind of break free and do it in the way that is most authentic to you. That's the Sagittarius. So it's
the renegade,
it's
genius.
It's renegade genius, and it's
independent.
It's traditional, and it's definitely going to be your own way of doing it. So even it's not even going to be traditional astrology. It certainly could incorporate astrology, but it may be like your own version of it.
Yeah, weaving things, embodying, pulling together.
Big picture. That's not necessarily like you have to be there right now. That's like, this is a lifetime of work. So Mars is opposing all of that. Transiting Mars is opposing that. So I'm curious if you have been having, with this eclipse or this eclipse series even, or with this Mars, if you're feeling any of those tensions coming up more intensely.
Yes, a lot. One, leadership definitely scares me a lot. It's weird, because again, it's like you can't make mistakes, and that's probably a connection back to my Virgo South Node of having that perfectionist. But I know, like, naturally, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do. So finding a balance where it's like I'd rather be a guide than an actual, I guess, leader. Like I can guide you there, and whatever you do, that's what you do.
Roshanda, I'm going to jump in because it's very true. And in fact, I had that note down that your sense of perfection is being transmuted. That Ceres, the goddess of grief and also nurturing, is really an energy there. But the point is that what we figure is a leadership and guide, that's part of the deconditioning, I think, that you're experiencing, because it doesn't have to be exact as what we've been told the leadership involves, because we each make our own decision. We can,
Well, and one of the beliefs that you have that you just stated was that leaders can't make mistakes.
Right.
And like, well, maybe that needs to be relooked at right now, because if you've had like past lives where you have been a leader and you've made a mistake and it's led to like the decimation of your tribe or whatnot, then that's it's heavy to bring in. But that's probably not the reality of what is going to happen here in this lifetime, right?
You're right.
So there's a piece there for you to really kind of look at, and maybe even like listen to some leaders on how they deal with mistakes or screw ups or whatnot. I know Brene Brown is really good about that.
Okay.
She has podcasts and whatnot. But she's really open about talking about that and about discussing like the fear of being a leader. And so I would recommend her, but that's up for you for sure.
I'll add two things to it. One is it goes right back to what's the value, the expectation of leadership gets back to what you understand each person's responsibility is. An individual's responsibility is to make their own choice. Now, our society teaches right back at school, here's information, follow this. So, and the goal is that you can use it later. But in the meantime, you can get so caught up with just parroting things and following. And we're a big society. And so people do have some conforming, right? But the fact is, true leadership is guiding so that people can take that within and build from. So if it's like taking a horse to water, but you can't make it drink, as you understand. So if you understand that now, looking at your leadership, that you're presenting the guide, but it's up to the individual. It relaxes that responsibility that you're responsible for their actions.
Yeah.
You're not really. That's one thing. And so it is an integration here of looking at your true value of self and other people. And TED, I'm not, okay, the TED conversations.
TED Talks.
Yeah, it's a resource. That's all I'm going to say. I went in there and checked the different ones, and they can tailor it to subjects that you're interested in. They're 10, 20 minutes or something to kind of get people's talk on little ideas. So that's a thought too.
Yeah, that definitely helps a lot, because I think that's have been one of the shadows of trying to overcome of, when you're out there, you think about the president, they're the elected leader, whether people want them or not, and anything they do, it can get blown up to crazy proportions. And yeah, we know what people say out here, but sometimes we don't know how that person actually takes that in. And I think that's what I'm always very cautious of. Like that's scary.
Yeah.
Well, there's little steps. So I'm going to ask you what, like you're a student now of astrology, you has shared, and are there, and answer as you wish, but just to get grounded a little bit, because Mars is asking for some activation with this, and it's just touching it. It's not going to pass it until in March, actually, because that's March 25th. It goes, am I right about that? No, it'll be, anyway, back up on that for a minute, because I'm thinking myself, it'll be before March, because then it goes into Cancer.
Okay.
Yeah, so it'll be somewhere around the equinox, or around then when it gets back to 25 degrees going into 26, which is actually across from your Saturn. But what kind of leadership are you thinking about, or what goals is it that you're kind of working with?
I would say just really being a helpful voice in the the sea of noise. So whether with using astrology and just basic life experience and compassion, understanding everybody's going through things, and this is kind of how you can help yourself through stuff.
You have great nurturing ability. It's all part and parcel. Your moon, your North Node series,
and your Pluto too. That Pluto in the 9th house, it's in Scorpio. So that's deep emotional understanding.
But it is claiming that, and so with this said, we're not here to kind of, come up in not a fixing thing, but it is, I think, when we talked about your natal Jupiter of philosophy and belief systems, leave it at that, of it, and that is going between the past lives and the future lives. One of the fix-it, self-critical, health-oriented Virgo of interactions, and then the other side of the Pisces oneness of compassion and you would be a great healer in a lot of ways, and you would be, I don't know, I think I give you, I mean, looking at this, you have many, it's a matter of finding the outlet. I have found that for myself, just trying to fix my own chart, which hasn't really happened till the last 10 years.
Well, and I think you have like a good emotional understanding of where you want to go. It's just, it is like Sue says, finding that right application for it. And that may be astrology, it may not. But there is that,
or a combination of astrology and something.
But there is that piece about the Jupiter squaring the nodes. And I think that's the key to really working through and finding that place where you're going to end up. And so the more you can kind of work through those, the fear about speaking out as a leader, or any belief patterns that you have, like that leaders have to be right kind of thing. And I mean, that Jupiter in Gemini is ruled by a Mercury in Libra. And so it's just never wanting to hurt anybody, wanting to, make sure everybody likes you kind of thing. But it's right next to that Pluto and Scorpio, which is so powerful. And sometimes the most powerful words are ones that not everybody is going to agree with. So you'll find your way.
Did you have any questions? That's what I want to ask, because we have about a minute or two.
Do you have
a question?
No, I think it was pretty, a good talk and like a very good fleshing out. Like a lot of it makes sense. A lot of it kind of helps me connect the dots of, okay, I'm not feeling crazy. I am moving in the right direction. It's just a little bit more, work. And of course with Neptune, Neptune is going to make you really work to see it.
And your own Neptune is in Capricorn. And I was thinking, whenever it's in a sign, it expands that. So you have a sense of mastery. You want to be that master. And they're in with Virgo, which, I mean, we have these archetypes. We share these archetypes. It is a matter of that perfecting. So I think one of the key moments here is you reclaiming your sense of deconditioning that perfection that allows you just to accept what you're doing as the right step, and maybe finding some little manifested way, because a person can blog, a person can be connected to some group, perhaps, where you have some leadership, whether it's however it is, and you can begin to see how other people do it, and you can start claiming more experience that you can trust and go,
that makes
I have a voice, because that voice, Jupiter wants to have a voice. Don't question why, just how are you going to present it? That's the issue.
Okay.
Well, and I'm super excited for you on your journey. Like, this is a really exciting chart to kind of live through in this lifetime. And I'm excited about these eclipses for you as well, because they're so right on this leadership piece and this teaching piece, or this just disseminating your wisdom. So just keeping that focus on releasing whatever emotional content you can that comes up that is disempowering is really going to support you.
And really, transiting Neptune, which is not going away, and I guess I've got to close it up with this, is right on your natural sense of series. So yes, in that process, you may experience a lot of the grief and hardship, and it may be past lives and whatnot, because it is with the moon, but it's going forward. It's the past lives that you've done, but it will dissolve. So have faith.
All right, thank you.
The messages are coming. Okay, blessings. And thank you, everybody. We love you all, and do fill that form out. We'll look forward to future months. And thank you, Amanda.
Thank you, Sue. Thanks for Shonda. That was a great discussion.
Yeah,
Be here
I'll
with
miss you
as
in
long-
December, but I'll see you again in
Yes.
January, the
See you in the
fourth
new year.
Sunday every month in January. Okay.
Thank you for joining us on Talk Cosmos, the show where Sue Minahan and her panel of guests connect soul growth patterns with the energetic cycles of astrology. Be sure to tune in next Sunday at 1 p.m. Pacific Time to continue your journey through the roots of the cosmic pathway.